Hello guys, welcome back to another video. We are continuing with our CXC marathons where we are using our newly revised syllabus to study for our examination. Today we are going to start our first marathon on office administration. Guys, it is good to use the past papers to study, but I think it is better to use your syllabus when you are studying because the examination, the questions are set from the syllabus. All right, so we're going to begin with our syllabus from the office administration. Students should be able to describe the role and functions of the office in business activities. Now, if you get a question asking about the role and functions of the office in keeping with its mission, which is commitment, vision, and goals, the answer should be one role and function of the office in business activity is productivity. Another role is distribution and exchange of goods and services. Another role and function of the office is the collection, processing, and preservation of data, whether you want to do it manually. Another role and function of the office is collection, processing, and storage of data electronically. Another role of the office is dissemination of information and organizational management and legal control. So if you're asked about the role and functions of the office in business, these are some of the roles that you could write for your answers. Describe how office structure and activity may be organized according to the size and nature of a business. So according to how big or how small a business is, the office structure, the size and nature of a business will be impacted by the multiplicity of positions and staff. You don't want a business that's too big and you have too many people working at the business. So too many staff than what the business really need. All right. The size and nature of a business will impact the types and patterns of relationship. The size and nature of a business will impact the nature of duties and responsibilities. The size and nature of a business will impact the deployment of employees. Also, decisions regarding decentralization or centralization, for example, repro, graphics, word processing, and words management. And also, the size and nature of business will impact the extent of computer hardware software usage. Students should be able to compare different types of office layouts. So if you're asked what are the different types of office layout, they are traditional, which means that the office is enclosed or cellular. You have open plan, and another office layout is virtual office. All right, students should be able to examine the ergonomics of the office as it relates to comfort, health, and safety issues. So when it comes on to employees and even the employer working in the office, comfort, health, and safety is very important. So we have to look at the layout. We have to look at the layout and the size of the office. You don't want too many people working in a small space. That can be detrimental, right? You have to look at the furnitures and equipment when you seek to have comfort and health and safety in an office. You have to look at the seating arrangement. You have to look at the lighting. You want to ensure that the office is well ventilated, the temperature, and related injuries can be caused if the office is uncomfortable, if it's not healthy, and if safety is not enforced. All right. Describe the contribution of various types of equipment to office efficiency. Now we're going to look at the types and purpose of equipment used in general and specialized office work. These equipment includes all right, so guys, some equipment that you will find in a specialized or a general office includes the guillotine and the shredder. Now, what is the purpose of that? So when you're in the office and you have a shredder, right? What do you use the shredder to do? Well, both. We can all agree that both machines are used for cutting and shredding paper documents, where the guillotines are used to cut large quantities of paper, while the shredders are used to securely destroy sensitive documents. All right, let's look at the photocopier and the risograph, the scanner, the printer laser, inkjet, impact, and the plotter. Now, these are machines that are used for various office tasks, such as the photocopying machine is used to copy documents. The risograph is used for printing multiple copies of documents. The scanner is used to, digitize paper documents. The printer, laser, and the inkjet, those are used for printing documents using different technologies. The plotter is just a printing large format document, such as a blueprint or a poster. All right. So let us scroll down to see what are some of the other office equipment. If you're asked about the purpose and types of equipment using general and specialized office work, you could also talk about computer. All right, so the computer, we use that to process information, store data, and run software applications. Why do we need a multimedia device in an office? Well, that captures images and videos and projects them on a screen. So you have in a meeting, you'll definitely need your multimedia devices. Why do we need a fax machine? We need that to send and receive documents over phone lines. That's the purpose of the faxing machine. Why do we need a laminator, a binding machine, and labelers? Well, the laminator is used to protect document by applying a plastic coating so we can have it for years to come. We need the binding machine to bind paper together to create books or reports. The labelers, we need those to create labels for files, folders, and other items. All right, so we're going down on the syllabus. Let's go down to students should be able to assess the value of good human relationships to office efficiency. All right, so we have supervisors in offices, we have colleagues, we have internal and external customers that we have to interact with daily. So, what is the importance of having a good relationship with these individuals? All right, let us look at our supervisors. So, building a positive relationship with your supervisor can definitely lead to career advancement, it can lead to promotions, it can lead to you being asked to represent your office or the company in developmental programs. Also, when employees feel trusted and valued by their supervisors, they are more likely to be motivated, you are more likely to be productive at work, you are more likely to be committed to your work. So, when you have a good relationship with your supervisors and you feel appreciated, you feel valued, you are definitely going to put your best foot forward in the office, and productivity will be increased. When you have a good relationship with your supervisor, this can lead to constructive feedback. It can lead to your supervisor becoming a coach for you, being a your supervisor can become a person who guides you in the office, and this can help employees to improve their performance and achieve their goals. Also, when you have a good relationship with your supervisor, positive relationships can reduce stress, anxiety, so you're not feeling stressed out because you feel like your supervisor not talking to you, or you cannot trust your supervisor. So when you have a good relationship with your supervisor, definitely stress is reduced, anxiety is reduced, and this leads to improved overall well-being and definitely job satisfaction. All right, why is it important to have a good relationship with your colleagues? Open and honest communication is key to successful relationship. We can all agree on that. So when employees feel comfortable sharing their ideas, when you feel comfortable in the office to share your concerns, it can lead to a better decision making and problem solving. All right. When you have a good relationship with your colleagues, it can lead to good relationship, which foster a sense of teamwork and collaboration. So when colleagues work well together, they can share knowledge, skills, and resources. This leads to more efficiency and effective work processes. All right, when you have a good relationship with your colleagues in the office, it can lead to increased job satisfaction, it reduce stress, it improve your overall well-being, and as they always say, happy employees are more productive, they are more engaged, and they are more committed to their work. All right, let's look at having a good relationship with internal and external customers. So let's start with the internal customers. Definitely having a good relationship with your internal customers will improve service delivery. Good relationship with internal customers can lead to improved service delivery, increase efficiency, and reduce errors. When you have a good relationship with your internal customers, um, it increase collaboration, definitely, because the customers now can foster a sense of teamwork and collaboration, which leads to more effective work processes and better outcomes. When you have a good relationship with your internal customers, it enhances job satisfaction. So when employees feel valued and supported by internal customers, they are more likely to be motivated, engaged, and committed to their work. Finally, when you have a good relationship with your internal customers, good relationships with your internal customers can lead to open and honest communication, and it definitely will reduce any form of misunderstanding and errors. When you have a good relationship with your external customers, um it can lead to improved customer satisfaction, loyalty, and retention. So your customers will keep on coming back to your office or coming back to do business with your company. When you have a good relationship with your external customers, it can lead to increased sales, revenue, and business growth. And we know that's the main aim of our businesses. So once revenue is improving, and once business is growing, sales are increasing, our customers will come back and our business will grow. When you have a good relationship with your external customers, it can enhance the organization reputation and brand image because your customers, they're coming back and they're going to spread your business to other people by word of mouth, or they will share your business card. So definitely your reputation as a business will go up and your brand image. When you have a good relationship with external customers, it can lead to organizations improving their products, services, and processes because you want to keep on meeting the needs and wants of your customers, and you have an excellent relationship with your customers. So at all times, you're always planning and figuring out how you can improve your products. All right, so if you get that question on your exam paper, you should be able to answer that question. All right, let's go down. Students should be able to describe the various channels of communication used in the office. So the channels of communication that are used in the office comes under different heading. A, directional channel of communication. So directional communication refers to the flow of information within an organization, right? It can be further divided into two subcategories. So we have the formal and official and the informal and unofficial communication. Now we're going to look at what formal official communication is. Now, this type of communication follows the office channels and hierarchy of the organization. It includes memos, reports, letters, and other written documents that are used to convey information, make announcements, or provide instructions. So formal communication is typically used for important decisions, policies, and procedures. Now, when we look at informal or unofficial communication, this type of communication occurs outside of the official channels of the organization. So examples of informal or unofficial communication could include conversations, emails, social media messages that are used to share information, build relationships, and facilitate collaboration. Informal communication is often used day to day for day-to-day interactions, feedbacks, and problem solving. Next channel of communication, oral communication. Examples of oral communication could be interviews, meetings and conferences, radio and television, telephone, and intercom. So oral communication refers to the exchange of information through spoken words. You're speaking orally or verbally to another person. All right, so we said it can take different forms. Interview, which is a one-on-one conversation between two people, and interviews often used for job interviews. So you're hiring a new worker, you might do an oral interview. You have performance evaluations or feedback sessions. Meetings and conferences. So group discussions that bring together multiple people to share information, discuss issues and make decisions. Meeting and conferences can be formal or informal, depending on the purpose and context. All right. So you are having a staff meeting. You could be having a meeting with your HR department. That would be example of oral communication. Now let us go down to electronic channel of communication. So when we talk about electronic channel of communication in the office, some examples include teleconferencing, video conferencing, which are methods of remote communication that allow people to connect with each other in real time, regardless of your physical location. So teleconferencing typically involves audio-only communication, while video conferencing adds visual elements, allowing participants to see each other. So you want to do Skype, you're having a meeting and you want to Skype, maybe the persons who are part of the meeting, they are at home, so you could do Skype to conduct that meeting. Then we have computer, internet, intranet, World Wide Web, electronic mail, social media. These are all examples of electronic channel of communication. So the computer, we know we use a computer for communication, such as instant messages or online chat. We use the internet, which is a global network of interconnected computers that enables communication through various protocols and services. Intranet, a private network within an organization that uses internet protocols to facilitate communication among employees. The electronic mail, also called the email, is used to send and receive messages electronically over a network. Online platforms such such as social media, we use those to enable users to create and share content, interact with each other, and participate in online communities. Now, the telephone and the facsimile, we use the telephone to, enable real-time voice communication. Over distance, we use a fax as a method of transmitting printed or unwritten documents over a telephone line, allowing for the electronic transmission of physical document. The scanner machine, we use that for converting physical documents into digital forming using a scanner. All right, and the rest, the telecommuting, working from a remote location, often use electronic communication tools to stay connected with colleagues and clients. Telemarketing, the practice of selling products or services over the telephone, often using automated systems or live operators. So if they ask you about the various channels of communication used in the office, you can talk about directional, which includes formal and informal communication. You could talk about oral channel of communication, which includes interviews, meetings, radio, telephone, intercom. You could talk about electronic form of communication, teleconferencing, computer, telephone, scanning, scan to email, scan to file, telecommuting, and telemarketing. And the final channel of communication is written. So you want to pass on information in the office, you could send letters, you could use memoranda, you could use agendas, notices of meetings, reports, minutes, questionnaires. These are all examples of written channel of communication. Students should be, and still using the syllabus. So other examples of written channel of communication could also include itineraries, notices, press releases, and advertisements. Another channel of communication is visual, and this is where we use pictures, charts, graphs to communicate in the office. We might use signals or signs, multimedia presentations, and body language. So if you ask about the channels of communication, I know you get full mark for that question. Students should be able to identify factors affecting the selection of communication channel. So factors to be considered when selecting communication channel, whether it's visual, oral, written, or you have to think about the degree of urgency. How urgent do you want to communicate the information that you want to give to members in the office? Now, degree of urgency, this just refers to how quickly the message needs to be delivered and responded to. For example, if the message is urgent, a phone call or a text message may be more suitable than an email. Another factor you have to consider when selecting communication channel is the journal, whether you want to use oral, written, electronic, or visual. So this refers to the type of communication channel being used. Oral communication, you want to talk to an individual face-to-face conversation, phone call, video conferencing. Written communication includes emails, letters, and reports. Electronic communication includes instant messaging, social media, and online forums. Visual communication includes images, videos, and presentation. So one of the factors that you have to consider when selecting the channel of communication that you want to use, you have to think about the journal, whether it's oral, written, electronic, or visual. Another factor that you have to be considered when selecting communication channel is the level of confidentiality and privacy. This refers to the level of secrecy required for the message. For example, if a message contains sensitive information, right? A secure communication channel such as an encrypted email or a private messaging app may be more suitable, you know, to convey your message or your information. Another factor that you have to consider when selecting communication channel is the location, the distance, and the time zone. Now, this refers to the physical location of the sender and the receiver, as well as any other time differences. So, for example, if the sender and the receiver are in different time zone, so I am in Canada, you are in Jamaica, maybe Canada is 1 hour ahead of Jamaica, so you have to consider the time zone. So a communication channel that allows for, to facilitate the time zone would be such as email. So it's better you send an email than make a phone call because of the different time zone and the different location that we are in. So you have to also think about the cost efficiency and effectiveness and the audience size as a factor to be considered when selecting communication channel. So the cost, efficiency, and effectiveness. This this refers to the cost of using a particular communication channel as well as its efficiency and effectiveness. For example, a phone call may be more expensive than an email, but it may also be more effective for urgent messages. You have to think about the audience size. This refers to the number of people receiving the message. For example, if the message needs to be sent to a large group of people, the best communication channel would definitely be send an email, or social media may be more suitable. So if you want to send a message that the office will be closed on Labor Day, you could send an email to the office employees. If you want to send it to your internal and external customers, maybe social media could be a good channel to convey that message. All right, so we're going down nicely. So those were the factors to be considered in selecting communication channel. Identify factors affecting the flow of communication. Identify factors affecting the flow of communication. So in other words, we're going to look at what are the different ways in which communication can flow within an organization or an office. Now, communication flows upward, downward, vertically, horizontally, or grapevine. What do we mean by this? Well, upward communication refers to the flow of information from subordinates to superiors. An example of an upward communication flow in the office would be, say we have an employer who wants to provide feedback to their manager or supervisor about a new project, suggesting improvements and offering insights based on their experience. So that would be an example of upward communication where the flow of information is from subordinates to superiors. Another example that you could look at of upward communication is a staff member informing their supervisor about an incident that occurred during their shift, such as an accident or a customer complaint. Now, what do we mean by downward communication flow? Now, this refers to the flow of information from superiors to subordinates. So it's the opposite of upward communication. So an example of downward communication flow in the office would be, let's say, a manager providing instruction to their team members on how to complete a task or project. Um, Let me see if I can think of another example. An example could be a manager providing feedback to an employee on their performance, including areas that they need to improve on and goals for future development. So those would be examples of downward communication flow. So again, downward communication flow is the flow of information from superiors to subordinates. So your boss speaking to the employees. All right. What do we mean by vertical communication? Now, this refers to the flow of information between different levels of an organization. So, an example of vertical communication flow would be a manager having a meeting with an employee. So the manager meets with an employee to discuss their performance, goals, and development plans. Another example would be uh, head of department at a school providing updates to their team members on the department progress, goals, and challenges. Or another example would be a team leader from one department collaborates with a team leader from another department to discuss a project that requires input from both teams. So that would be an example of vertical vertical communication flow. All right, guys. When we talk about grapevine communication flow, this just refers to informal communication that occurs through rumors or gossip in the office. Another form of communication flow that affects communication is communication climate. And a close communication climate refers to one in which information is not freely shared, while an open communication climate is one in which information is freely shared and encouraged. An example of open and closed communication climate would be, and let's look at open communication climate first. So an example of open communication climate would be regular team meetings. So a team leader who holds regular meetings with um, his or her team members to discuss progress, goals, and challenges would definitely be an example of open communication because in this case, information is freely shared. Another example that we could use for open communication climate is, say you are working in an office and your manager says to you, this is an open door place. This is an open door policy. Whenever you want to talk, whenever you have questions or concerns or ideas, my door is open. That would be an example of open communication climate. Now, what do we mean by close? Not what do we mean, but we're going to look at examples of close communication climate. And this is the opposite of open communication climate. So an example of close communication would be, say we have a company that limits access to information. They only share information with selected employees or departments. Another example of close communication climate would be a company, say a company which makes decisions without involving employees or providing clear explanation for the decision make. So your office decided that they're going to change the schedule for Friday and they just comes to the boss just comes to the office to the employees and say, hey, the schedule is changed. There was no involvement of the employees in that decision making and no clear explanation for the changes provided. So that would be an example of a closed communication climate. Discuss the barriers to effective communication. Alright guys, so we're going down nicely in our syllabus. So we're looking at the barriers to effective communication. Now, effective communication is crucial in all aspects of life, including personal and professional setting. However, we know that there are several barriers that can hinder effective communication. These barriers are categorized into five main types. We have perceptual barriers, cultural barriers, and personal biases, semantics, language, literacy skills, and internal and external barriers. So we're going to discuss how does these barriers prevent effective communication within an office or a company. Now, the first one we're going to look at is a perceptual barrier. What do we mean by this? Now, perceptual barriers refers to the differences in perception between individuals. So people may have different perspective, attitudes, and beliefs that can affect how they interpret messages. For example, say a manager may perceive an employee's behavior as being lazy. So the manager said that you are lazy. Now, while the employee may see it as a result of lack of motivation to overcome perceptual barriers, it is essential to be aware of one's own biases and try to understand the other person's perspective. So the manager is saying that you're lazy, and you're saying, no, you're not lazy. It's just that you are not motivated. All right. Cultural and personal biases. So this can also create barriers to effective communication. People from different cultures may have different communication styles, values, and norms that can lead to misunderstanding. For instance, in some cultures, direct eye contact is considered aggressive, while in others, it is seen as a sign of respect. So if you're in the office and your boss is talking to you, some culture or some countries, it is expected that you must look the person in their eye whenever they're talking to you. In some other countries or some other cultures, it is seen as being aggressive. So personal biases such as stereotypes and prejudice can also affect how people communicate with each other. Now, another barrier to communication is semantics, which refers to the meaning of words and symbols used in communication. Now, different words can have different meanings, and we can all agree on this, to different people, leading to confusion and misinterpretation. For example, let's look at the word soon. The word soon can mean different things to different people, ranging from soon can mean a few minutes to several days. So, to overcome semantic barriers, it is essential to use clear and concise language, avoid technical terms, and define key terms and concepts. In Jamaica, somebody might say, "Oh, soon come back. Soon come back." What do you mean, soon come back? Are you coming back in 10 minutes? Are you coming back in 15 minutes? Will it take you 2 weeks to come back? So in the office, we have to ensure that we use clear terms and avoid using technical terms. All right? Language. Why is language a barrier to communication in the office? Well, language barriers can also hinder effective communication. People who speak different languages may struggle to understand each other, leading to misunderstanding and misinterpretation. So, even people who speak the same language may use different dialects or accents that can create barriers to communication. So, you're working in an office, you're from Jamaica, you have English, which is the main language, and then we also speak Creole. So if you go in the office and you're speaking Creole to someone who that is not their second language, that may create some barriers, right? So it is important that to overcome language barriers, we use simple language, avoid idioms, and provide translation or interpretations when necessary. Literacy skill, or could that be a barrier to communication? Well, literacy skill refers to the ability to read and write. People with low literacy skills may struggle to understand written communication, such as emails or reports. All right? Internal and external barriers to communication. For example, a person who is tired or stressed may struggle to communicate effectively. So I'm tired, I'm stressed out, you're talking to me, I want to sleep. I'm not able to communicate to you clearly or effectively. All right. So internal barriers refers to the environment in which communication takes place. For instance, a noisy or distracting environment can make it difficult to focus on the message being communicated. Identify the various forms of business structures. Identify the different forms of business structures. So again, we're identifying the various forms of business structures. Forms of decision-making business structures. So if you get this question on your exam, your answers should be Centralized decision-making structure. A. What do we mean by that? Now, in a centralized decision-making structure, all major decisions are made by top-level management or a single person. This approach is often used in small businesses or startups where the founder has complete control over the company. Now, an example of a centralized decision-making business structure would be let's look at a family-owned restaurant where the owner makes all the decisions regarding menu items, pricing, and staffing. Now, what do we mean by entrepreneurial centralized? This type of structure this type of business structure is commonly found in entrepreneurial ventures where the founder has a clear vision and wants to maintain control over the business. What do we mean by B? Decentralized decision-making business structure. Now, in a decentralized decision-making structure, the decision-making authority is distributed among various levels of management and employees. This approach is often used in large corporations where decisions need to be made quickly and efficiently. An example, let's look at the different types of decentralized decision-making business structure. We have pyramid, matrix, and independent. Now, what do we mean by pyramid decentralized decision-making structure? A hierarchical structure where decisions are made at the top and flow down to lower levels. If you have ever seen a pyramid, so any decision about the business is made at the top, the management, and then it flows down to the lower levels, which would be the employees. For example, a multinational corporation with a CEO who makes strategic decisions, which are then implemented by regional managers. Now, what do we mean by matrix? A structure where employees report to multiple managers, both functional and project-based. For example, a software development company where developers work on multiple projects simultaneously and report to both their functional manager and their project manager. So you're reporting to both managers. What do we mean by independent? This is a structure where employees work independently with minimal supervision. For example, a consulting firm where consultants work with clients independently and make decisions based on their expertise. So you do not run to your manager to ask for um, information about a client or ask them for help about a decision. You, based on your expertise, you are able to make decisions independently. All right. Select appropriate types and sizes of stationery for a variety of uses. Now, what are the types of stationery that we use in an office? We have bond, parchment, and NCR paper, which is no carbon required. Now, what do we mean by these types of stationeries? So if you're asked about the types of stationaries in your exam, these are the answers that you should be writing. The first one we're going to look at, now before we even look at the type of stationaries, when we refer to stationery, we are talking about materials that are used for writing, printing, and other office tasks. Now based on the syllabus, the first type of stationery is bond. Now, bond is just a type of paper that is used for printing and writing. It is made from wool pulp or cotton and has a smooth finish. Now, what do we mean by parchment? Parchment paper is a type of paper that is treated with acid to make it more durable and resistant to moisture. It is often used for printing and writing important documents. What do we mean by the NCR paper? And this one is no carbon required. It's a type of paper that is coated with a chemical that allows it to produce multiple copies of a document without the need for carbon paper. It is commonly used for receipts, invoices, and other business documents. And we're going down nicely, guys. Size of paper, envelopes, and label dimensions. And this includes letter, legal, A4, A5, A6, DL, C4, and C5. All right, so we're going down nicely. Students should select relevant sources of information. Now we're going to look at reference materials that can be used in the office. So you want to ensure that whatever reports, information you are presenting, these information, they are factual and they can be proven. All right, so some of the reference material that you could use are dictionaries, thesaurus, official gazettes. You could also use telephone, directories, maps, schedules, post office guide, trade journals, answered, and internet search engines. Describe proper techniques for receiving and relaying messages by telephone. Telephone techniques. All right, so we're going to look at this a little bit more. So if you're working in an office, it is more likely that you'll be answering the telephone. All right. So what are the techniques, the telephone techniques that you should be aware of? And we're going to look at some of these lists. So we're going to look at telephone etiquette, recording systems, receiving and delivering messages, use of the telephone directory, maintaining a personal and a company directory, functions and operations of automated switchboards. So the proper technique for receiving and relaying messages by telephone. So you answer the phone promptly, ideally within 3 rings. Greet the caller with a friendly tone and clearly state your name and the company or organization you represent. Pay attention to what the caller is saying and avoid interrupting them. Take notes if necessary to ensure you capture all the important details. Speak clearly and concisely when they relaying message. Avoid using jargons or technical terms that the recipient may not understand. Ensure that you have all the necessary information before relaying the message. This includes the caller's name, contact details, and the purpose of the call. Relay the message to the intended recipient as soon as possible. If the recipient is unavailable, take a message and pass it on to them when they become available. All right. Now we're going to look at recording systems. Now, what is the proper technique for using recording systems to receive and relay messages? Now, firstly, you need to familiarize yourself with the system. Understand how the system works. You need to include how to start and stop recordings, how to adjust volume levels and playback messages. When leaving a message, clearly state your name, title, and the company or organization you represent. Keep your message brief and to the point. Avoid rambling or providing unnecessary information. Enunciate your words and speak at a moderate pace. Avoid mumbling or speaking too quickly. Leave your contact information, including your phone number and email address, so the recipient can easily get back to you. Clearly state the purpose of your call, including any specific questions or requests you have. Use a professional tone when leaving a message. Before saving or sending the recording, listen back to ensure that your message is clear, concise, and professional. Save recordings in a designated folder and organize them by date, name, or project. All right, so that's the technique for using the recording system when you're making a telephone call. So we're going to look at, let's look at a few more. Receiving and delivering messages. Guys, we're not going to look at all of the techniques, but you can do your own research, all right? What's the technique for receiving and delivering messages? Pay attention to the caller and avoid interrupting them. We did say that. Take notes. Confirm the caller's name, contact details, and the purpose of the call. Use a message pad or digital tool to record the message. When delivering message, deliver the message to the intended recipient as soon as possible. Um, Maintain confidentiality when receiving and delivering sensitive or confidential messages. Use technology such as email or instant messaging to deliver messages quickly and efficiently. Proofread the message for accuracy and completeness before delivering it. All right, and the others, guys, you can do your own research. Or maybe, do you want us to look at paging devices? No, we're not going to look at it. Let's go down to assess the communication services offered by telecommunication providers. Telephone services includes most companies, they are offering local, long distance, and overseas calls. They offer station to station, person to person, collect calls, emergency calls. You can do conference call, video conferencing. Most telephone companies, they offer call waiting, call forwarding, voicemail, speed dialing, and caller identification. All right, students should be able, oh, and it lists continues other services. You get phone cards, electronic top-up machines, mobile phones, text messaging, instant messaging, voice over internet protocol, and Skype. Describe the services available for dispatching email. So you want to send an email to someone. So say you want to send a document or a package from one place to another. A service that you could use to dispatch your mail is a courier service, and this includes local and overseas services. So the local services are used to send documents or packages within a city or regions. They are typically faster than postal services and offer more flexible delivery options. The overseas courier services, these services are used to send documents or packages to other countries. They are typically more expensive than local courier services, but offer a wider range of delivery options. Another service that you could use to dispatch your mail is a postal service. So postal services are used to send documents or packages through the mail. They offer a range of classification options and delivery services. So when you go to the post office to dispatch your mail or to send your mail, do you want to use priority mail, first class mail, express, or standard? Priority mail, this type of mail is delivered quickly, usually within 1 to 3 business days. First class mail, this type of mail is delivered within 2 to 3 business days. Express mail, this type of mail is delivered overnight or within 1 to 2 business days. Standard mail is delivered within 3 to 10 business days. When using the postal services, you can choose delivery options. Do you want it registered? Do you want the mail express delivery, recorded delivery, or post restante? And courier services skybox. So what do we mean by delivery options? So if you choose to do registered mail, this type of mail requires a signature upon delivery and provides proof of delivery. If you choose to do express delivery, the mail is delivered quickly, usually within 1 to 3 business days. If you want to do recorded delivery, This type of mail requires a signature upon delivery and provides proof of delivery. Post. This type of mail is delivered through the postal service and does not require a signature upon delivery. All right, so if they ask you about the ways or the services available for dispatching emails, not emails, for dispatching mails, you can talk about the courier service and the services that they offer local and overseas. You can talk about dispatching or sending your mail through the postal services and the different classification of mail, delivery options. All right. Now, students should be able to outline procedures for sending and receiving parcels. Procedures for sending and receiving parcels. We have Alright, so one, regulations for sending and receiving money and other valuables. So this likely we're looking at the rules and guidelines for sending and receiving money and other valuable items such as jewelry or important documents for the office. So when sending money or other valuable items, it is essential to follow specific regulations to ensure safe and secure delivery. This may include using a registered mail or a courier service that provides tracking and insurance options. All right, parcel post services, nature and use. Parcel post services are used to send packages through the postal system. To use these services, individuals must properly package their items, affix the correct postage, and fill out any necessary forms. Packaging. Proper packaging is crucial to prevent damage during transit. This includes using sturdy boxes, bubble wrap, and tape to secure items. Procedures for dealing with incoming mails. Receiving. When receiving incoming mail, it is essential to handle different types of mail and packages carefully. This may include sorting mail by type, checking for damage or tampering, and logging received items. Recording. Recording incoming mail is crucial for tracking and documenting received items. This may include maintaining a logbook or using a digital system to track mail and packages. All right, so we're looking at the procedures for dealing with incoming and outgoing mail in large and small offices. Another procedure that we're going to look at is a procedure for stamping. Now, stamping refers to the process of affixing a postage stamp to mail or packages to indicate that the required postage has been paid. This is a traditional method of paying for postal services and it is still widely used today. All right, so if they ask about the procedures for dealing with incoming mails, you should be able to do so. All right, so we're going to look at, let's look at one more. Treatment of remittances and registered mail. Alright guys, I've just decided to go through all of them. So we're looking at the procedures for dealing with incoming mail. We look at receiving mail, recording, stamping. Now we're going to look at routing of mail. Now this involves directing mail to its intended recipient within an organization or to an external address. It requires sorting mail based on addresses, departments, or other relevant criteria. Treatment of remittances and registered mail. Remittances refers to payment sent through the mail, while registered mail is a service that provides a secure way to send valuable or important items. The treatment of these types of mail involves handling them with care, recording their receipt and dispatch, and ensuring that they are delivered to the correct recipient. Um, you don't want to be collecting an envelope containing money and you send it to the wrong recipient. All right, so you have to handle these with care. All right, going down nicely, guys. Now we're going to look at procedures for dispatching mail. So if you get these questions on your exam, I know you guys, you're going to do very well. All right, what are the procedures for dispatching mail? Now, dispatching mail is a very critical process in any organization. So ensuring that correspondent reaches its intended recipients efficiently. This procedure outlined below, which shows the procedures for dispatching mail, includes sorting of mail. Now, sorting out mails involves categorizing incoming and outgoing mail based on various criteria such as destination, example letters, packages. This step is crucial for streamlining the mailing process and ensuring that each item reaches its correct destination. So let's say that we are in a large corporation. Mail might be sorted into different bins labeled by department or location within the building. For instance, all mail addressing to the marketing department would be placed in one bin, while mail for the human resource department would go into another bin. All right, so that is it on sorting of mail. Procedures for dispatching mail, we have to look at the preparation of mailing lists. Now, mailing lists are databases containing the names and addresses of individuals or organizations to whom mail is sent. Now, preparing these lists accurately is vital for targeted communication and to avoid errors in delivery. Let us look at a company that is planning a promotional campaign. They might create a mailing list of potential customers. This list would include names, addresses, and possible other relevant details like purchase history or preferences. Procedures for dispatching mail, you also have to look at the use of postage books. Now, postage books are used to record and track postage expenses. They help in accounting and auditing processes by providing a clear record of all postal transitions. And again, I'm going to give you an example. An office manager uses a postage book to log every stamp purchased and every piece of mail that is sent out. At the end of the month, this book helps in calculating the total postage expense for budgeting purposes. All right. So guys, remember we're using the syllabus and we are looking at procedures for dispatching mail. Now we're going to look at automation of mailing activities in large offices. Now, what do we mean by automation of mailing activities in large offices? We're going to explain some of these. So if you see a question on your exam paper about automation of mailing activities in large offices, what it's actually just referring to the use of technology and machines to perform tasks relating to sending and receiving mails, such as printing addresses, affixing postage, opening envelopes, folding papers, sealing envelopes. So this automation helps to increase efficiency, reduce labor costs, minimize errors in the mailing process. Now we're going to look at automation of mailing activities in large offices. And the first one we're going to look at is mail merge. Now, what do we mean by mail merge? Now, this is a software feature that automates the process of sending large amount of emails or letters by combining a template with a data source. Let's say, for example, a company can use mail merge to send personalized letters to all its customers. So instead of sending the letters to individual emails, you merge the mails and send that email once. All right. What do we mean by addressing machines? Devices that print addresses on envelopes or labels, saving time and reducing errors. So when we're dealing with sending and receiving mails, we have to look at addressing machines, which are used to send and label envelopes to dispatch mails. For example, the use of addressing machines in bulk mailing operations, such as sending out newsletters or promotional materials. Franking machines. These are machines that print postage stamps or labels on envelopes, eliminating the need for manual stamping. For example, a business can use a franking machine to send out large quantities of mail without having someone to affix individual stamps. All right, letter openers, machines that automatically open envelopes, streamlining the process of handling incoming mail. An example would be the use of letter openers in offices that receive high volume of mail daily. So instead of tearing the envelope, you could use the franking machine to do so. The letter opener to open the letter. Folding machines, a device that fold paper documents into various shapes and size, such as letters or brochures. For example, a marketing firm can use a folding machine to prepare promotional materials for distribution. Collating machine is a machine that assemble, excuse me guys, a machine that assemble multiple pages of a document in the correct order, saving time and reducing errors. For example, we'll use the collating machine in printing and publishing industries. Sealing machines, devices that automatically seal envelopes. For example, a company can use a sealing machine to quickly and efficiently seal large quantities of outgoing mails. All right, so we're going down nicely, and this will be part one, guys. I am going to stop right here. All right, so we're going to stop right there, guys. So, guys, I hope that you are using your syllabus to assist you in studying. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Please remember to also watch the ads to support my channel. Share it with a friend. Guys, and good luck in your exams. Please look out for part two. Turn on your notification bell that you'll be notified when part two of the Office Administration Marathon using our syllabus to study is released. All right, see you in another video.